When was the last time you heard about the metaverse outside of it being the punchline to a joke? It's a complete disaster, an all-around failure that only exists to be point and laughed at, ridiculed and insulted. But it really is the comedic gift that just keeps on giving. It's kind of like the Morbius of technology, where certain companies are being gaslit into thinking that it's popular and a worthwhile investment. So every now and then you have these delusional suits that try and make the metaverse work and try and capitalize off it and monetize it for their own company. And that's what just happened, where they tried to have a fashion week in the metaverse, but nobody showed up and it was a just downright catastrophe. Luckily, CNN just ran a story on it, so we get to see exactly what it looked like, and holy shit, it actually looks like something out of Transformers Beast Wars from the late 90s. It is repulsive. It is so awful to look at, and they're huffing this copium that it was like a success and that the only reason it wasn't more popular is because not a lot of people have adopted the technology yet. It's too cutting edge. Our simpleton minds can't really grasp the magnitude of this technology. That's why it's not catching on like wildfire.
Bold, bespoke, and entirely digital. This is high fashion that you can't touch. Fashion Week in the metaverse as brands turn to the internet for haute couture's new horizon.
This shit looks like a fan-made event in Second Life, but this is haute couture's Fashion Week. Hopefully I didn't butcher the pronunciation of the high fashion brand, but I swear to God, the costume contests in City of Heroes back in 2005 looked better than this. And also, you can see the attendees there, all four of them. That's the whole crowd to look at the avatars walk through and then emote. It's so shitty. Like, even worse than I would have imagined it. This seems like they threw it together in 5 minutes and tried to capitalize off of some kind of like metaverse hype that is completely non-existent. There hasn't been hype in the metaverse for quite a long time now. Even the parent company is trying to kind of like bury the metaverse and focus more on AI these days. It's just so sad and pathetic.
We change how we dress for different things, right? It's the same in the metaverse, and it's the same in social media. We dress differently to represent these things. These are the armors of our life.
Last year, participants bought 7,000 wearables for their avatars, averaging around $10 per sale.
I love how they're not even bothering to do the bare minimum of the fashion in-game. It's the fucking digital landscape. You can make anything happen there. You can have fucking 5 laser titties on the dresses going fucking wild if you wanted to, but instead they're just making boring, normal dresses. Like, take a page out of Left 4 Dead Modders playbook where you can have, like, Shrek teaming up with 5 T-Rexes or something and then have them walk across the metaverse runway. Like, they're just barely doing anything at all in there, calling it the armors of their life, which is super cringe. So they sold a few thousand wearables, and I guarantee every customer right now is spitting and shitting in rage at how worthless of an investment that was. Luckily at $10 each, it wasn't life-ruining unless you bought a ton of them, which hopefully no weirdos thought was a good idea. But yeah, I guarantee all those wearables have done nothing but collect dust and have seen no use at all.
An e-outfit can easily cost as much as a real-world dress, even if it's still far less than the price of haute couture. But this year, unique visitors and sales were down nearly 50%.
That's probably being generous. It's probably a lot more than 50%. There is nobody left in the metaverse. That shit looks like the Fallout 3 wasteland. Like, there is absolutely no signs of life in the metaverse anymore. It is completely flatlined. I also love how, even in this segment here, they can't get the fucking thing to run at more than 3 frames per second. It looks like they're playing the metaverse on the Nintendo Switch right now. Like, they can't even bother to get it to be a smooth video here to showcase the haute couture fashion.
Organisers blamed the lackluster turnout on the relative newness of this online world. In only its second iteration, the virtual event faced criticism about its user experience, its value, and whether digital fashion is really necessary.
I'll go ahead and quickly rapid-fire answer all of those questions for this soulless, stupid company here. There is no value. It's completely worthless. It's not relatively new. This actually looks like something out of Roblox, but significantly worse and runs far worse at fucking 2 frames per second. And then that final wacky question and criticism about if digital fashion is even necessary, the answer is a resounding no. To extend that topic to a broader point, there is obviously a place in the digital landscape for cosmetics. Take, for example, CSGO skins. I always use this as an example. The skins are purely cosmetic. They are there. They are expensive because they look cool and they are rare. But they're part of a larger ecosystem. They're part of a game, an incredible, timeless game. So when you're playing that game and you have these cosmetics you spend a lot of time opening cases for, or if you saved up and bought on the marketplace, you can use them. You get value out of them for your own user experience. However, in Haute Couture's runway wasteland, you get nothing. You buy a fucking dress, then what? You can't do anything with it. It's not a game. There's nothing to do with it. You are actually just flushing money down a toilet. That's it. Except it's far less embarrassing to just flush money down a toilet as opposed to spend it on a fucking worthless Victorian-era dress in a dead game, in a dead universe.
Even Mark Zuckerberg's Meta has recently shifted its attention from virtual social spaces to artificial intelligence. But some brands and content creators are continuing to experiment regardless, alongside some of fashion's biggest names.
I don't know what content creators are doubling down on the metaverse. Even the ones that were really on board with it initially are no longer, at least not from what I've seen, but maybe I'm completely ignorant to a blossoming community of metaverse fashion enthusiasts somewhere out there. But even still, there's clearly not that many of them, considering what a flop the fashion week was in the metaverse.
I think it's about bringing some utility to what they have been creating in the crypto virtual space. So for example, DNG, they are not presenting their own creations, they are presenting the result of a creators competition. So I think it's like really reversing the discussion about, okay, what you guys are creating, how we can take that as our food for creativity.
So you're making furry fashion here with this showcase. This isn't the opposite of utility. It's the absence of utility. It's actual just greed to make a fast buck off people that are buying into this fantasy of the metaverse being popular or the future. They're basically just trying to capitalize on fear of missing out, constantly driving home the idea like it's really new and it's really early, you might want to get in here and get some of these cat dresses or whatever the fuck all of that was. Space cat line. I have no fucking clue. It's all literally just there to be a predatory monetization model for an idea that didn't pan out.
So I think everybody became more comfortable saying, well, maybe this is the way we communicate. So definitely from a customer adoption, we saw that. People trying on filters, be more comfortable, testing NFTs.
This poor lady's brain must be trapped in some kind of time dilation. She's perpetually locked mentally in 2021. She just dropped NFTs unironically in a positive light. Like, it has nothing to do with people being comfortable in the metaverse or wanting NFTs. NFTs are pretty dead and buried for the most part as well. That whole trend is 6 feet under for the most part. The metaverse has already come and gone, and it never even came in the first place. It never even got there. Like, there isn't this world, this ecosystem that she thinks there is there. Clearly, like, they didn't have incredible sales off rip, and then they experienced a 50% drop at least in the following year. Like, that should be a very clear sign that this was not the direction the industry or humanity is going right now.
For designers too, more at home working with silks than lines of code, it's been a new arena, some reimagining old designs digitally.
One of the things that we were encountered with was that the train, for example, couldn't be longer than proportionately four or 5 feet or something like this. And that's the dress right behind us being brought out.
The story then interviews some of the fashion designers who have taken the plunge into the hellscape of the metaverse. Some of them are taking old designs and pumping them into the metaverse, and then some of them are making designs in the metaverse and then trying to recreate them in the real world. Either way, it's still fucking worthless. Like, the metaverse dresses and all of that, they don't have any value because there's no game, there's no anything to do with it. There's no world there. There's nothing. So it's just completely pointless.
Powered by blockchain technologies, metaverse fashion in spaces like Decentraland still require a huge amount of energy to run. Neither will the metaverse likely eradicate our demand for fast fashion, but some hope it will bring about positive change.
This is just a horrifying segment here. Not only does the game look like a PowerPoint moving in like an actual flipbook speed, but it is just horrifying to look at. If someone recreated me in the metaverse and I looked like that, I'd be shaking my fist in anger and researching how to send a cease and desist notice. Because, good lord, that is criminal how fucking unappealing the game looks. I don't even know how you make a game run this shitty or look this bad in the modern age. That takes a special level of incompetence.
I think that it will become a space where people will be able to buy and wear clothes that they may not be able to afford in real life, and I think that's one way of bringing our fashion to the masses.
I've heard that sentiment a few times from a few different places. I just don't see that happening because, again, you don't have anything there besides just buying that dress and having no reason to ever equip it or any use for it, because there is at its core no game and no world and no people. So what is the point in spending the money on that dress? If it's a lower price point than the real world equivalent, it doesn't matter when there's nothing to use the dress for. The reason people buy the expensive dresses in the real world is a status symbol for their friends or people in public and people around them. Like, they buy those items because they want to be seen in those items. Whereas in this game, no one will ever see it, thus why would anyone ever want to purchase them? The whole thing is so nonsensical. It's once again just desperate clinging to this idea that the metaverse isn't dog shit. But unfortunately, the reality is it's very shitty, and there is no value in the metaverse currently. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about this because I saw the story today on Twitter. That's about it. So yeah.